Bonjour à tous et welcome in Institute Mines-Télécom for this workshop on privacy. So this workshop is issued of the work of a joint program between Fondation Télécom and Institut Mines-Télécom. And there's during 6 months we work, there was a working group on the topic of privacy. I'm going to, in 5 to 10 minutes, to give some not results, but after this work, what we retain of privacy problem. And after, Karin is going to have a deeper presentation of the result of this working group. And after which we are moving on two very important speech of people coming from abroad, one of the US and the others of Tokyo, because the privacy topics is not it's deeply cultural, and it is very important for us to have this speech, this contribution from US and Japan, from US and Asia. So if we may switch on my thank you. The first slide is I call it grounds for privacy and digital, because the topics of privacy is obviously, at the first glance, it's pretty simple, and if we begin to work on it, it becomes more and more complex. So if I move by myself, okay. So privacy is first a cultural concept, but with fuzzy and fast evolving social rules. That's our problem. The digital evolution results in new spaces, new networks, and new type of behaviors for personal data production, for access to data, exchange of data, and even deal of data. What is the relationship between data and information? We work on that topics, and thanks to researchers of Google, who was a member of the working group. It gave us a definition I like a lot. Data becomes information when the owner gives its consent to someone to access. So we produce a lot of data, and as soon as the owner opens this data to someone else, it becomes an information. So it's not so easy to pick up, but I think it was a really a good assets coming from Google. What are the relationship between personal and privacy? So it's difficult to define. Personal data is easy to define because there's some rules on that. But on the privacy, what is privacy? What is of the public domain? We know that the same kind of personal information may be public or private. For example, my private life is private, but the private life of the President of Republic is public. So it's not so easy to define what is the field of privacy. With social networks, we massively introduce a question of status about that I call group share information. So it's not personal, it's not public. What is the status? Also, what is the status for company information or company data on people? It's obviously a big problem today for privacy, but also for a lot of other issues as fiscal issues. Another question: with the owner of data information, who is allowed to give a consent? Is it the creator of the data? Is it the physical owner of the data? Is it the legal owner of the data? So it's become step by step more and more complex. And what are the rules for consent management? Is there transitivity in the owning of? If an owner, you sell a data, if the owner can also sell the data in some time. What is the time duration of the ownership? What is the fields of ownership? There's a lot of problems to talk. The question is why a privacy issue becomes so important today. with digital evolution. A first problem deal with the abuse of digital, that digital allowed people to do easier than before. So easier attack, fake digital identity, undesired access to data, falsification of data, undesired use of data. There's a lot of attacks on privacy that are easier with digital. Another big problem is the use without consent of personal data. Data coming with you from search, the use of a search engine, of access, the traces of access, of content. So we have more and more examples of use without consent of data. Sometimes this consent has been done, but we have a lot of problem of the freedom and autonomics for choice of consent. Very often the propositions are very complex, so people sign before reading the condition. And also we have some kind of manipulation through only, I call it only losing facility alternatives. So you can choose, but if you choose, you lose. So you choose. So I think there's a lot of work to do in order to have a real freedom for choice and giving consent to use of personal data. There's also reputation, use of personal data to damage or fake reputation of a person. So it's a real big concern. Some people find it's awful. Some others say step by step we are going to learn the way to use the internet, and so this problem of personal attack and so forth will be reduced. But it's today a problem. So to conclude for this introduction, I think we have a kind of a pressure of digital on privacy. There's two main class of reasons, two main cluster of reasons. First, an economic pressure to reduce privacy domain. These economic pressures come from the ability to using big data to give high value to data. So you have the possibility to make money with that. Another very positive pressure is the potential of managing data, using the data, personal data for innovative services. The third is the economic value of audience and referencing. So we sometimes there's a lot of money to do with that, so people are able to manage or to manipulate to be able to use your consent to sell this list of use, this list of people using one service for others. So it's obviously a very important pressure. We call also about targeted advertisement, and we need to say intelligence. You know there's a lot of pressure of access to data for intelligence use, intelligence at the Anglo-Saxon meaning, and it's also an economic pressure because in the struggle, in the economics wars, access to data are very, very important. The second cluster of reasons deal with that I call psychosociological pressure. For example, social networks as a standard of life for young people and older people. And also some sociological trends of personal valuation through exhibition. So it's a real pressure of young people. The strength of chip-like behaviors, because people use it, and why we are not be afraid of something, because a lot of people do the same thing of us. So it's this kind of where people say, okay, it's not a problem that my behavior is observed by anyone because everybody do it. And the last point is this kind of pressure to transparencies. And I think it's for all this reason of pressure is probably the more dangerous. The loss of borders, the loss of difference between the inner and the outer, because with in the digital field, we can, there's a kind of pressure to give access to all my information and to share all my information. So it's the pressure to sharing. So I think we have to think over this problem of what is the personality, what are the components of personality. And I think it's a very important point to think over, and it's I wait for the two next speech, one deep in the US, with this culture at the same time to make money with a lot of things, and also to fight for freedom, and another coming from the experience in Tokyo with a culture and a lot of rules of exchange of behaviors that are very, very different. So that's why I think we have the pleasure to switch, to move on the first speech. Before I was in the I was thinking of this two next speech. Before Karine is going to take 20 minutes. 20 minutes to 10 minutes to make to talk about this working group of working of privacy, and that I was a member of the group. It was very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis.